Hello again everyone. Well, we're still in the marina at the moment. We're a bit later setting off than we normally do. You know, we're normally out and about by now and taking in all the nice weather and cruising to somewhere, no idea, but we'll be cruising to somewhere. But what happened was we was all getting set to go, and when the engine was in low revs, there was because our engine's quite quiet, we can hear things, there was like a rattling noise which we didn't normally get. So we thought, that doesn't sound quite right, we'll get it checked out. So we're quite lucky really. We know a superb engineer. I won't give his full name out. His name's Chris, and because he's so busy, and you know, we've known him for years, so we're quite lucky. But he's a beta marine engine expert, an expert in many other engines as well. And Chris had a look at it for us, and he said, well, it could last you a bit longer. He said, it's your drive plate at the back. He said it's just starting to rattle a bit when you're in low revs. He said it could last you a few more months or 500 hours, or it could go. So the way me and Bernadette is get it fixed. So he told us about an upgraded R&D drive plate. So we said, yeah, get it ordered, Chris, and we'll have that fitted before we set off. So that's hence the delay. Now the other thing is, Chris and his wife Deb's come down. You know, sometimes she accompanies him when he's doing jobs, and they very kindly give us this. It's 20 years old, this, and there's even a windlass. And we put on our community, we asked anybody what name would they thought would suit, and somebody brought up a name, the name of Hemel, and we quite like that. Hemel's a character in a very good film called The Bear G, and we thought, yeah, that's brilliant. So this is Hemel, and he will be accompanying us on many cruises on our narrowboat, and very nice too as well. Right, this vlog now, what we're going to do, we're going to show you a few things what we do when you normally turn your ignition on, undo the ropes, and away you go. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos, and you'll have noticed when we're going along we have these things. Before we start off with what we dress the boat, and we have a variety of things. Now, people who know us will know we love the history. We love history, and we've tried to make our boat look very traditional in its design, both inside and out. A lot of traditional things. That's our choice. I know there's loads of other choices, but because of space issues, we like the space. The traditional engine just wouldn't suit the way we boat, so we didn't have a traditional engine, but we've got more or less everything else, and it suits us perfectly. Now, the things we're going to show you are quite simple. You know, they're not a necessity on a boat, but they don't have to set your boat off. And they're not things what would suit, you know, we've had a cruiser style boat, but the things we're going to show you just wouldn't look right on a cruiser style boat, because that's a different thing altogether. And it's the same with semi-trads. You've got to have a nice traditional looking boat. And we personally, because we love history, we wanted some historic things to pay homage to the past, and also when you actually feel and look at some of these things. The quality is unbelievable. Anyway, let's get on with it, and I hope you like what you see. So I'll show you the first thing. When we go along on, if you're not familiar with boats, you'll notice we'll have a few bits and pieces scattered about on the roof when we're going along, and I call that, we put all this stuff on the roof. I call it dressing the boat, and Bernadette does as well. And I'll show you the first thing in a minute. But the old traditional boaters, they took great pride in painting the boats, roses and castles and fancy things. You know, they did it themselves. It's an historic thing what happened. But for example, you didn't have any running water years ago, and they had to obviously have something. So they had watering cans or barrels, and they'd have them full of water for washing dishes. You know, having a wash, could be freezing cold, the water, but that's all they had. No hot and running water then. And they used to, years ago, well, even now, they call them buckby cans, just by common thing. But a buckby can, in realistic terms, only comes from Buckby. So if you buy one somewhere else, you know, whether it's an authentic one, like we have an authentic can, but it's not a Buckby, or an imitation of that, you're only calling it Buckby because it's the common name, but it's not really. If that makes sense. But what we have, and these are very hard to get hold of, as are a few of the other things we have as well, what I'm going to show you. We have a Leicester's water can, fully galvanised, superb, and we've had it painted, and people will know this, we've had it painted, as are a few of our other things, by a renowned canal artist called Dave Moore. Now, a lot of people who have boats, particularly older boats, will know Dave, because he's, even if he won't like me saying it, he's quite special in his paintwork. It's recognised all over the country. It certainly is. He's got a certain style what's absolutely spot on, and looks really nice and authentic. And that's the thing, I don't want, or I hope we don't lose a lot of the authenticity of from the history gone by. A friend of mine, he said to us, and in some ways he's right. he says, you know, he says, I know I'm a bloody old codger, he says, but he said, people buy boats now, he says, and they're more interested in whether it's got a washing machine and a dryer rather than the history and the quality of the boat. And I thought, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's becoming more and more important as people get boats. But I love the history. Now we don't have a traditional engine, mainly because we wanted the space. I do love them, but for us that wasn't quite there. But we have loads of things paying homage to the history gone by, and why the things are there. And I'll show you various things. But for now, this is the Leicester's can. Now, I don't know whether you can hear, in that Leicester's can we put water, right? Now, some people, when they have them on the boat, put a brick in it, just while it's on the boat. If it ever gets knocked off and fall in the water, it sinks. But if you just put some water in, like they're designed for, if it fell off, it won't sink, and you can get it back. Now the other thing, if you look on the bottom, see that there, that's plastic tubing, and we put it round the bottom so that when you put it on the roof, it's not metal to metal contact and scratching anywhere, and it just stops any marks on it. But it works well. And again, I talked to it in another previous video, it's painted, gets fully painted, and then it's lacquered then, you know, it's by hand, like I showed you a tin what I use, and it's lacquered, and you maintain it just by almost like a pan scrubber. In a couple of years time you just rub that up and down. It goes a bit dull and you think, oh, I've ruined it, but you haven't. And then you just paint the new lacquer on and it lasts another 2 to 3 years. So that one is a Leicester's can, and we think it's beautiful. We'll move on to another thing now, and this is, I know this is quite old, because when we got it, it was a barrel. They're not big, but it had port in it, from, hold on, I think it was 1947. I think it was anyway, but I'll just show you it. It's a proper wooden barrel, not metal. This is a proper aged wooden barrel. Again, all the fancy stuff's done by Dave Moore to make it look as splendid as it does. But that's a stand, first of all. That's our stand, and again we put our little pieces on it so it doesn't scratch anything on the roof. So that's the stand. Now the other thing is, all these pieces as well, believe it or not, have certain positions on the boat to be correctly positioned. So when you see them, when we are cruising around, they're in a certain position. But this is the our barrel, some weight in that. Again, the artwork is absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. On one side we have the roses and castles. Well, no, tell you the castles, sorry. The other side we have the roses. How nice does that look? Now that has to go on a certain way as well. When I'm at the back, I have to see them, the castle, for it to be in the right place. Not across the boat like that. It's got to be lengthways as the boat goes, and that goes in a certain position, and you will you'll see that in our vlogs when we start to cruise around the network. But an authentic, how old, 50, 60, 70 odd year old, and painted to that lovely standard by Dave, and we like that a lot. Anyway, that's the barrel. We'll move on to another thing now. Right, the next thing. Now we have a 12-volt horn which we use on occasions, but we like klaxons. Now this is my pride and joy, but then after I've shown it, I'll tell you something else which was wonderful what Bernadette did. Absolutely wonderful, but I'll tell you in a minute. If you look at that, and again we don't put it on the roof and bolt it down. We have it on and we can take it inside out the way. But that is a push down klaxon. Still has its authentic badge from 1924 from Chicago, and it actually calls itself the autocrat signal and not a klaxon, but it's beautiful. And we got that from Lockside Antiques, I think it was. We managed to source that because they're so hard to get hold of, and we've had it for a few years. I'll press it. I won't press it too hard, but you can hear it, and this is instead of the 12-volt horn. So that's the klaxon, and you think, that's lovely. Well, well. It's my birthday shortly, and I'll tell you, Bernadette, she's worked her magic, and she has got something truly wonderful for us. It would be 100 years old, what I'm going to show you, around 100, or might be about 105 years old, and it's wonderful. And when she sourced it for us, I tell you, I was absolutely chuffed to death, absolutely. And I'll show it you next, because it really did, it's made my birthday very special. I've not had it yet, but getting this for me was absolutely wonderful. Well, this truly is my pride and joy, and I'm so pleased with it. You had a look at that klaxon. This one is over 100 years old, and it's a wind-up one. Oh, look at that. Absolutely wonderful. I just can't believe we've managed to get one, or Bernadette's managed to get one, should I say. Instead of the press down now, and you can feel the edge, you know, it's the brass handle, proper solid brass, you know, these pieces, thick brass, not plated, you're really thick. I'll just give you a little thing. I love it. And that's going to have pride of place at the back of the boat. And again, like the other one, we'll mount that on a piece of wood so that I can put it there and then bring it in when it's not on use. So that is a wonderful wind up 100 years old klaxon. What a birthday present. Anyway, on to something else now. Now, the next thing, and this is a statement piece for us. And again, I think it only suits a traditional looking boat. It wouldn't. I don't think it'd suit a cruiser style or a semi-trad. And it's our light, our tunnel light, or as this is, a tunnel lamp, full of character, fully restored, and completely different than the ones you buy in the chandleries and all that, and we love it. Now currently it's packed away in there, but Bernadette says to us, let me clean it up first before you show anybody that. She said, let's give it a polish to show it all in its finery. So I said, fair enough, I'll be patient and I'll wait, and we'll show you that in a minute. Well, Bernadette's give our lamp its first clean of the new season. It'll get buffed up again in a few days time, but I'll just show it you. I've put some gloves on so I don't mark all the varnish, because we always like keeping our brasses clean. Look, and it's some weight, this. There we have it. That's our light. Very, very heavy, solid brass, and it's from a I think it's 1954-55 fire engine. That's what they used to use for shining upwards. It's been fully restored, and it's known as a Francis lamp. Now you'll never see the bulb when we switch it on, you'll never see the bulb inside. So it'll never be shining strongly in anybody's face in a tunnel or anything like that. It's got all these special reflectors what can be adjusted with a little screw on the back to exactly what we want. And it doesn't half light up tunnels, and it does look gorgeous when we fit it on. It sits on a post at the front, and in some of our videos you'll notice it more now that I've showed it you. But it's not small, it's not light, pretty heavy. But we absolutely love it. So that's our tunnel lamp, and also a bit of a statement piece when we're going along. We get lots of nice comments. So fully restored, solid brass, heck of a weight. And I'm putting it down now. Well, we've showed you a few of our tranclements, what we put out on the boat when we're going along, and we hope you've liked seeing them. Not only do we like having a well-maintained boat and clean and all that, we do like all the bits and pieces what go with it. It's our choice. We know that there's vastly there's loads of other people with different ideas, but it just feels right for us, and I hope you've liked seeing it. Right, that's another one, and we'll see you in a vlog very, very soon. But for now, ta-ra!